Well, hello there. Thanks for stopping by the homestead. We're glad to have you. This week we're building raised beds, just in time for the spring planting season. Also, the raised beds are going to help define our guest parking area. This video will do three things. First, talk about common materials for raised beds and the pros and cons we see. Then, I'll show you a montage of how I built my raised beds, followed up by the final product in place. Before we get started, just want to say a special thanks to two new subscribers, Gary and Ali. Thanks for joining us. Also, feel free to like, subscribe, or comment below. All right, guys, let's get to it. So the first material we thought about was masonry, bricks, cement, cinder blocks, and etc. We definitely think they can be very pretty. However, they can be pretty expensive as they require some special skills. I tend to think they're only really needed when working on steep slope, and they act as a retaining wall as well. The next category we thought about was metal, galvanized steel. It seemed like we found quite a few preformed kits online or at any garden center. I think the preformed kits look pretty nice. However, for price per yard, they seem kind of high for what they were. We also thought about the custom metal ones. They definitely can look really nice and fit the landscape well. However, they definitely require a lot of metal and a lot of special skills. One downside we considered with the full metal raised beds was just all the heat there is in Texas. We figured we want to be out there in the summer working on all that metal, soaking up all the Texas heat. It also seems like they would reflect all the heat and sunlight onto the bottom of plants, tending to burn them. The third option we considered was wood. There's definitely a lot of species out there that could be used. The price seems to correlate with how long it resists against rot. If you're looking on the lower end, you're going to look for Douglas fir or pine. I've used both materials plenty on temporary gardens and such. It seems to last me about 3 to 4 years before I start to see any significant rot. I really only do like 1 or 2 layers of it where it's not holding up any structural force. If you got the money for a bed to last longer, look at cedar, cypress, or juniper. They're naturally rot resistant and will stay beautiful much longer periods. When it comes to pressure treated wood, it's just never sat right in my gut to put near my vegetables, so I've never really dug into it all that much. But if you have, let us know in the comment section what's safe and what's not safe. All right, well, let me take you back in time and show you what we picked. As you can see, we decided to go with the 2x6 rough cut cedar. It's definitely on the more expensive end, but it's going to last a lot longer and look pretty doing it. A couple interesting things to note is that the dimensions are actually 1 5/8 and 5 5/8. Also, it was cheaper for me to buy a 12-foot board rather than the 8-foot board. I don't know, I guess the local hardware store had a surplus of it or something. All right, let's look at the other end. So for all the bracing in the corners and along the boards, I'm gonna use some angle iron. I got plenty of 2-inch and 1.5-inch laying around. Let me get some pieces cut up to size, and I'll take you over to the assembly table and show you my ideas. All right, here's what I'm thinking about each corner. These woods here, just for demonstration, I'll have to cut actual pieces that are the right spacing. So here's about what all the corners are looking like. I'm going through 2 ideas. One is like this, which I think I'm leaning towards. The other is to bring it up so that this plane matches this plane. It's a little bit more like that. I think this might look a little nicer and cleaner in the end. The only bad part is that I'll have less welding between these 2 pieces and this piece. Now I think I have plenty of length here to stitch weld back and forth to make it hold strong enough. It's not gonna be a lot of force. It'll just be a little, to watch out for more. We're down here. Couple benefits is definitely a lot more surface area between welding, that's for sure. And then secondly, it's going to give me slightly more, cubic yards in the actual bed itself. Obviously, marginally better, but 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch there. Every little bit helps in a raised bed. So those are my 2 ideas. But before we do that, I'm going to go through with all the 2-inch pieces here and drill holes in it, so that when the wood gets slid in, I can put screws in the back to hold the cedar in place. So let's get to that. All right, so now what I need to do is outline these holes. This doesn't have to be perfect because they're going to be hidden. Be strong enough. Let me mark a line each place. One, two, three, 4 boards. All right. So I'm going to use this hole punch tool to mark where I need to drill. Again, this can just be close enough since 1, it's going to be hidden, and 2, it's not like it's structurally different if they're not all perfect. But I'm going to go about 1/2 inch in from each board, so 1/2 inch this way, 1/2 inch this way from each board, approximately. And you know, about a finger width off the edge. Let's see. All right. All right, guys, so here's what it gives us. Nice holes. Again, if it had to be precise, I would have made a jig and clamped it down, but they'll be good enough. Now I just gotta do that 7 more times. See you after. All right, so I decided to go back even farther with this piece and have this lower edge down here be even with this one, rather than having this plane level with that plane. Also come back and have this side over here, which will give me, I don't know, about a whole inch by inch increase in square footage, and I think it'll look kind of cool. All right, let's try it out. As you can see, I got the 4 corners welded up here. I'm by no means the best welder, but for a home hobbyist, this will stick together. So after I got done welding these, we stepped back a little bit and thought about it and decided to change plans. Instead of having 1 box with 4 corners, we're going to stick 2 together end by end. So I'm going to end up having to weld 2 more pieces that are the center ties. In the end, I think the price per cubic yard is going to be cheaper because I'm only going to have 2 of these plus 1 less wall down the middle. So I'm going to get to building those. Before I do that, I'll get them cut up and show you what I'm thinking. So I got all the center pieces cut. I'll show you what you guys are thinking. So I'll end up making 2 of these, right? Where the cedar's coming out this way and coming out this way. Then I'll have one right here in the middle at the top, tying to the other side, that way it doesn't fall out. So I still need to go through and drill holes down here and then just 2 up here, because I'm gonna only have 1 board going across on top. That way dirt can go underneath and water can still flow. And probably even hide the water line underneath it. That way it doesn't go over the cedar, it goes under the cedar. All right, cool. Well, let's get to it. All right, pretty lady, here's a finished product. What do you think?
I absolutely love it. It's sturdy, it's super strong.
Yep, agreed.
You do like to overbuild, and
do.
the corners, we will be able to have trellises growing up. And did you show them in the corners where you can put the
I have not, but I'll show them later.
Yeah, so we plan on having trellises on either end of this raised bed, and this is the first of hopefully many raised beds
It will be.
to build, so
Yep.
we still have some learning opportunities, but we wanted to build it tall enough to where our ducks wouldn't be able to put their heads in and tear up any of the vegetables, and the dog wouldn't be able to trample inside because we lost a lot of plants last year because of that. And I'm super excited to put my green thumb to work and grow some good vegetables for him and I. We don't need that many, it's just 2 of us, so. But one day we'll have a huge family and hopefully an even bigger garden. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for building it.
My pleasure.
I love you.
Cool, love you too. All right, well, next week, I got to trench the water line connected to our city water. I'm going to put a little cedar pillar in with a faucet and a timer. I'm going to run irrigation to it and then fill it up with some soil.
No more hand watering. I'm so excited.
Awesome. All right, guys, thanks for coming. See you next time.
See you later.
Bye.